Welcome back to a very special episode of NBL now. As we've seen with the announcement, two European powerhouses are coming down to Australia to play against each other at John Cain Arena and then take on the Sydney Kings and the Adelaide 36ers. And when you talk European basketball, well, when you talk Australian greats in European basketball, there's only one name that should ever pop up in people's minds, and that is Dave Andersen, former teammate of mine, good friend DA, joins me now. DA, how you been, firstly, mate? Good to see you.
Good, mate. Good, mate. Championship teammate of yours, Hul. You can't miss that. Like, we won a chip together. That's special. So, yes. Keep them busy, man. You know, usual stuff, NBL work, farming, kids. It's a full life at the moment, but a good life.
And there's a reason I wanted to grab you and chat to you, especially around this huge announcement for the league, which we'll touch on. But when I mention Australian greats, when it comes to your resume in the world of basketball, it is unmatched. We are talking 8 appearances in the EuroLeague Final Four, multiple championship wins there in the EuroLeague. I've got the whole resume up, DA, so I'll read you through some of it. So you don't have to.
Might take a while. Might take you a while to get through.
So people get a real understanding. So we have 3-time EuroLeague champion, all EuroLeague first teamer, 2-time NBL champion in there as well in that career. We've got a Spanish championships, 2 of those, 3 Italian cups. 3 Italian championships as well. We've got Italian MVPs, 4-time Russian League champion, 3-time Russian Cup winner, Turkish Cup winner, Turkish Cup final MVP, the All-Star game in France. The list goes on. And how many championships is it total? It's
French champion, Spanish champion. You miss those 2, brother. But
I'm still going
on. Get into the details.
It's an incredible list. And again, I'm glad that we can talk to you on this, but looking back and reflecting on all the success that you've had and where the game's at now, what's it like to go down memory lane?
I mean, it's great. It's a bit of a journey. It's a crazy journey. I never, ever thought in my wildest dreams, growing up playing ball in Frankston with the Blues, back as a junior, putting in work down there, that I'd ever get to travel the world, put on the green and gold, represent the country, learn different languages in the basketball journey, meet great people in all the different parts of the world, and experience these great victories. It was just one of those things that just kept evolving my career, and I seized every opportunity. I made the most out of every time I got to a certain place, and it was a hell of a journey. But the European side of it, I suppose I just fitted in really well there. I do have European background. My dad being Danish, my mum being English, that definitely helped me adjust and fit in. Carrying a Danish passport definitely helped back in the day. And just really enjoyed the whole journey over there and getting to know great people along the way.
So you mentioned it all started back in the Frankston Blues. We've seen some of the vision of you rolling around back then, some of the old pictures, but getting that first contract to head over in 99, was it, to get to Italy in your first European taste? What did you know about basketball on the European landscape? I know you had the history with the passport. Did you know to the extent of what it ended up being for you in your career, or were you pretty raw to it all?
I was very raw. I mean, I'm not a huge basketball historian. Like, I didn't know much about it. I came into the NBL in, it was 98 to 99 with the Wollongong Hawks, and obviously I proceeded to get my Danish passport, and obviously I had a international agent in Leon Rose and his partner Kenny Grant. They kind of were straight away from the get-go. They were like, "Oh man, Europe's going to be a big thing for you once you get that passport." And playing on the Basketball Australia stage at the Albert Schweitzer tournament as a youngster, going up against the likes of Paul Gasol in Spain and losing to them at the Albert Schweitzer in 98, that kind of put me on the map a bit on NBA radars as well. But it really, spoke terms in getting a contract in Europe. That was probably one of my big stepping stones there. So signing up with a team like Kinder Bologna, which is one of the European powerhouses back then, they had 2 of the healthiest budgets in the whole of Europe in one town in Bologna, Italy, that is. So we had us, Kinder Bologna versus Fortitudo, and it was a huge rivalry. It was massive. It was like one of the biggest things. I came into that not knowing what it was like or anything like that, and it was everything you could imagine, like crazy fans, chanting songs. The other team used to call me Cangurino di Merda, which translates from Italian to English to piece of shit kangaroo. So you can imagine they're chanting that song when I catch the ball and things like this. But our fans on the flip side were so passionate for us. it was an amazing journey. Just starting there in Bologna, it was a definite eye-opening experience. Yeah, just flowed on to other bigger, better things, but definitely a good starting point in Bologna.
We could step through all from country to country that you've been to. It would take a very long time. It's probably
You might
more
be there a while.
how long 60 minutes type project. But in terms of that European experience, that fan experience, when you look back on it now, having probably had a taste of all the highs, all the lows, all the things from fans that maybe have crossed the line, do you have anything that stands out in one memory where you're like, geez, I remember that game in particular or that season in particular where you got the full European experience?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of moments. Like, I'm talking when we traveled with teams, we'd have police escorts to games. Like, never in Australia history, I've never traveled with a team, and you get like 8 police escorts taking you to the game in Greece or in Turkey, for instance. We had rolling policemen traveling with us everywhere. Russian team, we had security on our plane with us and everything like that. So you got a heightened sense of, how valuable and how crazy the world can be in Europe. But in saying that, you never felt danger or anything like that. I was always comfortable with it. It was just one of those things. But probably from a crazy fan's point of view, probably early days, I reckon in Bologna in 2001, we won the Final Four. It was a 5-game series, first year of the EuroLeague. In its inception in 2001, we beat Tau Vittoria in Bologna. And I'm talking about the siren went. We were up by 7 or 8 points. The siren went, and all the fans just rushed the floor. Like I'm talking about, within 30 seconds, there was guys climbing up the net, cutting it down. Like there was no like in Australia. Australia, they're all nice. They're clapping hands. You set the stage. Larry comes out, presents a trophy, that kind of stuff. No. These fans just rushed the floor. They were everywhere. I remember running into the change room with big guy Rashard Griffith pushing fans out the way to get to our locker room to celebrate and stay with our fans and not get too mobbed. And about 5 minutes later, in comes Marko Jaric walking in nothing but his little jockstrap and his shoes on. But I was like, what the hell happened to you? And he's like, man, fans just grabbed my shirt. They wanted my shorts. They wanted my shoes, the socks, everything. Like they were just madness. It was crazy. And we eventually, they cleared the floor, like with a heap of security and riot police. They cleared the floor. Everyone's super happy. So they're just chanting away. And they announced, obviously, things. We get our trophies and they announced the MVP, which is Manu Ginobili back then. And yeah, it was a great experience. Like the Italians are passionate. That night in Bologna, I at least used to live on the center or the viale of the city of Bologna, and the little scooters are beeping their horns all through the night. We partied on, had a great time, but one of those fan experiences is how quick they jumped into it and everything. It was nuts. So great times there in Bologna with the Italian fans.
Has it changed much in terms of the European passion atmosphere? And again, Alex Maric was saying at the announcement last week how it really feels like it's a religion for a lot of these fans. You just grow up and that's just something that you know and you're so passionate about. Have you seen it grow in the last, say, 25 years, or has it just always been at the absolute peak of this is what we do, this is what we live and breathe day in and day out?
No, it has grown. Like basketball's grown globally. Like it's a lot better throughout the world. Like we're in Australia now. We're living off that as well, thriving off that. America, NBA has gone through the roof. Europe, it's the same. People love to come to the games. I mean, for instance, one of the teams, Partizan, who we're bringing out now with the NBL Euro games, um, they didn't have the huge fan base they had back when I was there in early 2000s, 2005 to 2008. They still had fans. They still had passionate fans, but not to the extent now. Now they're filling out a 20,000 seat arena. It's madness over there. Like they've got some really good, passionate fans that are chanting away and singing and traveling with the teams to the other countries when they're playing. But it was always like, it's quite interesting and contentious in the fact that like you got all these cultures that are fighting against each other. Like, I've played in Italy, then we go to Spain, for instance, we play them and they're like conflicting. You can sense there's a bit of history between them. The Russians, when I was in Seska, fighting against like a German team, things like that. It's all these different kind of things that are happening. And it's kind of, it definitely enhances the feeling of the importance of the game and stuff like that, which there is. In Europe, there's a lot of pressure on the games. Like it's not like America. You don't just come to watch a game or play a game and it's, if you win, it's all right. Kind of if you lose, it's your ass is on the line kind of feeling.
Going through all of that and looking back, and it's going to be hard. Do you know how many championships off the top of your head you've won in the European? Like, take out a couple in the NBL. Do you have the number?
In European, like when I talk about trophies or things like that. I think it's about probably 19 different ones from cups and things like, and they're all unique. Like, I mean, it's always, obviously I was very fortunate. I played with some of the great teammates and in good environments and with coaches that were very passionate or just as, if not more passionate than me. And, it just installed this winning feeling in you. Like, I mean, and it wasn't all roses. There's other seasons where it wasn't pretty, but for instance, with this team, I'm wearing it today, Montepaschi Siena. That was an Italian team, and when you win the championship, you get to put the little flag on top. So we used to wear that. But I won the first championship with them back in 2003, 2004 season. That was their, like, they just came up from second division, came to first division. They got me on a good deal because I'd just come off the shoulder surgery, and I came down and joined them, and they put together this amazing team with like some of these really good players like Dave Vanderpool's there, Bootsy Thornton, Sean Stonerook, these guys. Um, and we actually went on to the Final Four, which was in Israel that year. And talk about a crazy place to go. That was when there was like nearly war going on there. So a lot of the fans didn't actually travel. And we arrived into Israel as a Final Four, and they got like full security details, snipers on the hotel, all that kind of crap going on. We came to the Final Four, ended up losing to another Italian team in the semi-final, and Maccabi, rightly so, won the final by like 30 points, and that was party time for them. Just to win the championship, first time for Siena, that was like amazing. You know, I don't know if you know Siena. Siena's a small town in Tuscany, probably 100,000 people, but they had a massive sponsor in Montepaschi Bank. And they brought in this thing, and Fernando Minucci, who was the president at the time, harnessed that relationship, built a team that went on to win, I think it was like 8 or 9 times in the Italian history. And I was fortunate to be one of their first in 2003, 2004, and then again back in 2012 before the London Olympics, we won another championship then. Yeah, amazing feeling. You know, just being a part of that it's a great thing and very unique in itself.
The word unique is probably the best way to describe the European atmospheres and how they're all different from each other while still being the same sort of level of passion. We talked about the NBL announcement, which is incredible, and what it's going to mean for the Serbian fans, for the Greek fans. But so it was 2007, I believe. You have a bit of history with the Greek fans. Can you run us through that a little bit?
Well, it's Panathinaikos, so they're like obviously one of the Euro gods. I think maybe the most championships in EuroLeague history. I think they got like 17 or 18 now. They won just last year as well. Um, Great team, obviously one of the gods. They had what was his? Yeah, it's one of those things when you play against them, it's always going to be craziness. And this year, the Final Four was in Greece, so in Athens. I was playing with CSKA Moscow at the time. We're coming from winning the EuroLeague the year before in Prague, 2006. So we're reigning champs, coming down to their home territory, and we knew it was going to be a nightmare. So we actually get over Malaga, I believe it was, in the semi-final. I have a rip a game against them. Traditionally, always did really well in semi-finals of Final Fours, which is one of the biggest, hardest feats is to get over that hump when you come into a Final Four. You obviously got semi-final, grand final. To get over that hump to get to the final game is always a big challenge, and we did well. We beat Malaga solidly by about 8 or 9 points, and then facing Panathinaikos in the grand final in Athens. I'm talking in the Olympic Stadium, 17, 18,000 fans. It is just a sea of green. There's flares going off everywhere. Like security is supposed to be like strip searching all these people for these flares and stuff like that. Yet I'm telling you, there's like 6 or 7 flares going off all the time, smoking everywhere. Like, you know, you talk about it was a no smoking venue, but you go to halftime, you come back, mate, it's just a haze of smoke everywhere. It was madness. We ended up falling to them by about probably 7 points or 8 points in the end. Really tough game, hard fought, but to be honest, they're passionate. Talk about, yeah, we had police escorts there. They warned our families. Like I had Nerida and my family were all there. We had probably a great support. I had about probably 10 people visit with me. They warned them actually not to go to the game. They were like, well, this is going to be really hard. If you want, go to the game, but be prepared. You might get in a bit of trouble. And they got like riot police on either side of them. So it's not like, they just sit in the fans like, in Australia, like you can have Adelaide fans beside Perth fans, for example, or Melbourne United next to Southeast, and there will be no real conflicts. But no, there, if you like sit beside the fans, it's going on, and they're chanting at each other, like swearing, throwing stuff at each other, and things like that. But yeah, the Greek fans are super passionate. I'll be interested to see how they all go when they get to Australia. Hopefully, they bring a bit of that passion and show a bit of that fight and that good times that you have over there.
Yeah, I'm expecting them to. And again, from all the pre-registering we're seeing, and again, some of the comments online, especially that game at John Cain Arena when you've got the two powerhouses going at each other, I'm hoping we get a little bit of that. Maybe not the flares. I know Chris Prongrass from the Sydney Kings spoke about flares aren't allowed at Kudos Bank Arena, but we'll see what eventuates when we get to that.
Come on, Chris, let's build the atmosphere, the culture, a bit of fun.
I want to ask you then, was there certain moments or any games in particular, was that one of them where you go back to your hotel room or you go back in the off season, you reflect and think, man, this is a lot different than I was used to growing up just running around in Frankston?
Oh yeah, you go. It's amazing. Like you get there, but I thrive in that moment. Like a lot of people actually ask me, like, how do you block out those fans? How do you do you hear them? What are you doing? And I go, I don't know. I just immerse myself in the moment and kind of embrace it and just look at it as a challenge. Like these fans, they can't jump on the floor, even though in some instances they have. You can just play, and I'm competing against the other guys, and even the opposition. They're friends, sometimes they're peers, but you're fighting hard and you're passionate about it. But yeah, I never ever thought like I'd experience that kind of stuff when I'm growing up playing in Frankston League. But then again, you just adjust to it and you just take it step by step. And I actually loved it. I love the challenge of. There's no better feeling, Pete, than you're in a stadium, like 10,000 fans. They're all screaming against you, calling you Gangodino di Merda, for example. Then you catch a ball on a low block. You got your man behind you, and they're all chanting at you. And then you drop, two dribbles and do a little fadeaway. Bang goes down, and the whole stadium just goes boom, dead quiet. You're like, oh my god, that's the best feeling in the world. And those kind of moments you live for. So when you're beating them, that just makes it all worthwhile. And I suppose one little story I remember going back to the Bologna days, and in that aspect, I remember being in the semi-finals. So we played them in a best of 3 series against, I was best of 5, 42 to Bologna, Kinder Bologna, we're Kinder. And we're in game 3, I think it is, like we could knock them out. They're up by like 15, 20 points in the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter. They're chanting songs. They think they've already won. They're like popping bottles, all this kind of stuff. We go on a tear. We go to a zone. We just go on a tear, and we just like end up romping all the way back from down 15, 16 points in the fourth quarter, end up snatching the game away from them. And you should have seen the despair in these people's faces. They were just like, it was like you just stole their baby or something like that. They were just like, what the hell? How did that happen? And like, that's happened before to those fans too. And so they kind of remember and they take it on. But that passion is something that's something to be spoken about, and you kind of thrive on it, and you want to do good by it as well. So you try your best when you're playing for them.
With these two clubs coming down here in Australia, and when you get to now sit here as everything that you've achieved in the sport for Australia, in the NBL as well, but especially in Europe, we've seen the connections obviously with Partizan, with Alex Maris, Jock Landau, Dante X, and Nate Jawa. We've got these European connections here in Australia. But to sit here now and understand where the Australian basketball is heading, and the fact that two of the biggest powerhouses are going to come down here, play this tournament, and then play against a couple of NBL teams, how does it make you feel to know that this is actually going to be a reality?
I'm proud. It's great to see. Like it's one thing when you bring national teams down here, but in this aspect, it's like hats off to guys like, I suppose, Larry Kesselman for enhancing this league and having that vision to tie into the different parts of the world and bring these teams across and put his money on the line and say, nah, let's bring them across. Let's learn from them. Let's make it a storyline. Let's talk about it. So I get proud, and it's great. Like I sat down with Nicola and Australia, the president of Partizan, and Ivo, his assistant. It was great to talk, European shop with them, talk about the times I played in Europe, this kind of stuff. It just brings back all those good memories. And when you talk about the other guys that have been through it, like guys like Alex Maric, like he won a Final Four, like with Panathinaikos. I remember seeing that. I think I was out at the time. And yeah, to see that happen, like, and to be able to hopefully connect with him around these games and talk shop and see what, talk about how the experiences we had and give that culture to these Aussies who might not have experienced it. It'll be great. And it just makes you proud to see that our league is going in that direction and tying into all these other avenues of basketball, because the globe, like the talent pool in Europe is massive. Like you've seen it now. There's so many Europeans in America now, so many Aussies in America now. So it's a real global game. And it's rightly so that they're bringing out teams to Australia. And I'm hoping this is just a start. Like I'm trying to piece together some of my other teams like Fenerbahce, Barcelona, these teams that I played for as well, Leon, hopefully one day CSKA Moscow, bring them out to Australia as well. Let them experience. Guys always want to see Australia. They want to be around it. They want to, experience what it's like. And this is a great opportunity, I feel.
Well said. I'm looking forward to all of that and what the future has in store. But before I let you go, Da, this is what all the young guys want to hear right now. So I know you might upset a couple. Take out the NBL and the NBL A days, just strictly your European days. Your all-time starting five that you would put together of teammates that you've had. You slot yourself in there if you want, unless you've got five other names and you want to be six man. But I don't think six man's in. That's the DA style. So what have you got for me?
Teammates that I've had. Wow, that's a hard one because I could easily name you 20 of the greats, but I'll have to shorten it down just for you, Hools. So at point guard, I probably couldn't go past J.R. Holden, who's like, I think he's got more Final Fours than me, so that's a fact in itself.
There's not many that have that.
Got a Russian passport by presidential decree, thanks to thanks to the connection to the club. We won't talk about that too much. Multiple champion winner. We won 2 EuroLeagues together. Overall, great guy. Still working his trade in NBA now, scouting for Detroit. Yeah, hell of a great player, like big time player too. Awesome defender. Hit a bucket when he needed. Probably at the two, you couldn't go past. I think I'll go with like an Antoine Rigaudot, who many people might not know, but he's one of the French guys. I used to call him Le Roch in Virtus Bologna or Kinder Bologna. He's a French all-star great, been around the league. I played with him in Kinder Bologna. We won the EuroLeague together. Led by example. Always went hard. Flat chat every time in training. Never complained. Not a selfish player at all. 3-spot, Manu Ginobili, one of the all-time greats of Europe. Like just a snake, get in between. Yeah, obviously you've seen what he's done in the NBA. Imagine that in Europe, like coming up. He went from Reggio Calabria. He was like a fringe playoff team when we played him. Had a great series. We recruited him. That next year we win EuroLeague. He wins MVP. He was a great guy. We used to have a good relationship. We ate pregame together, just us two. We used to always like joke around, play good, have good fun, and yeah, rip a bloke. At the 4 spot, played with a couple of good ones, but in Europe, I probably can't go past one of my good teammates, Matthias Smodis, Slovenian power forward. He was not the most glamorous looking bloke. Like he looked like a bit like, I suppose I don't want to throw Doncic under the bus, but that kind of looks a little bit chubby kind of thing. But man, he could get buckets. You put him in the low post, he will back you down, get to that hook shot. Had a hell of a 3-point shot on him. Like, and talk about another big time player. Just got after it and did a great job, killing it all the time and doing a great job. And then I suppose at the 5, you can't go by yours truly. I have to try and do my thing there, Pete. So, but nah, I play with a lot of good players, and I know I'm missing out on a lot. But like along the journey, it's been great to just be around them, and that's probably my earlier stages of my career too. So when I was playing, earning a lot of championships and having a good time with it all as a youngster. So it's still learning the trade, but yeah, hell of a journey, and probably too many good names to mention in just one short podcast of 20 minutes.
Oh, I had to narrow it down because again, we forget the NBA times in there, we get the Boomers times in there. It's going to make it even harder for you. You should be thanking me actually.
Yeah, no, you do a good job at hosting, Julio. You're one of the better ones, sir.
Thank you, brother. I
Keep it
appreciate
moving.
that.
Keeping it moving.
Well, what we're going to do is, as I said, before these European games, it's going to be great to hopefully get you sitting down with Alex Marriage, some of the other guys who've experienced that, telling stories. We might get an unfiltered edition because there'll be some crazy things in there. But I'm glad we could do this and give the NBL fans an insight to not just European basketball, but to everything that you've achieved as well. So thank you so much, brother, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Hooli. Always good to share the mic with you, mate.